Hold up. All right, now let's try it. Sorry about that. Okay, well, as I feared, we have some severe weather headed our way. Nothing terribly crazy, thankfully, but it is going to get a little rough between now and 3 o'clock ish, and then after that, it should calm down quite a bit. So this is the current radar, and if you've been paying attention to the weather this morning, tornado watch for us, and severe thunderstorm warning currently for us, and you can see the cell that's in Dallas County has been intensifying quite a bit. Although, again, nothing crazy. The storm is warned for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. I haven't seen a lot of reports of that yet, thankfully, but we are looking at that possibility. So this is probably at a not so great time because of school starting to let out in the next hour or so. If you're in the GISD, then it's going to be letting out for high schools in the next 10-15 minutes. So that is definitely not good news, but that's why I wanted to come on and warn everybody about what's going on. So let's put this in motion. And as you can see, general northeast movement, about 30 miles an hour. So they're moving pretty quick, so that's good. So that's number one. Now, we've seen these storms gradually intensify, and I think as the day goes on, especially the further east you are, the more intensification that you'll see. And so with that, let's zoom in a little bit here. So we definitely see some heavy rain in this area, and I'm going to see if I can get my drawing tool to work. Let's do this and this. All right, so definitely some heavy rain here. And let's look at some different layers. So let's look at velocity. That's kind of what we were all interested in as far as the type of atmosphere we have. So we have nothing really showing to be concerned about from a rotation standpoint, so that's good. Definitely some different directions here, but again, very, very broad, so it's not anything to be terribly concerned about. Definitely something we're going to be watching. So the other thing, let's look at the hydrometer classification, or another way to say it is hail classification. And so the red doesn't necessarily mean that it's hail is reaching the ground. It's just something that's kind of a mix of heavy rain, maybe some hail. I've been checking all the reports. I haven't seen a whole lot. And by the way, if you have a question, just put that in the chat and I'll try to answer that. So nothing to be terribly concerned about. It's just that this storm meets thankfully right now the minimum criteria for severe weather, which again is 1 inch in diameter hail and or 58-mile-an-hour wind gust. So they warned it for 60-mile-an-hour winds and 1 inch in diameter hail. Like I said, doesn't mean it's not happening, but I haven't seen. I'm checking the spotter reports right now. I haven't seen anything yet. Now that doesn't mean something might not come in, but it's something that we're definitely bear watching. Let's go back to reflectivity. So not a ton of lightning strikes, although it's kind of hard to make out, but you are starting to see some lightning strikes here. So the storm is definitely intensifying, and something that we definitely want to, let's put this in motion again. Matter of fact, let me just put 14 frames instead of 30. So you can definitely see this storm's getting its act together, that's for sure. All right, so probably something that I want to just keep an eye on is this right here. So nothing to be terribly concerned about yet, but this is definitely a supercellular structure that is getting its act together, and we just don't want it to get its act together um, too much between now and the next 30 minutes or so when it moves on out. So we'll get rid of that. All right, let's go back to velocity. Yeah, so nothing, again, even in the quote unquote notch, nothing terribly concerning, so that's good. Now, again, everything is kind of moving like this. That's a horrible arrow. I apologize. But it's, again, just something we want to watch. And that's why I wanted to come on and give everybody an update on what we're dealing with. So I would say, that's the other velocity. Let's go back to reflectivity. So this much we know for sure. So we know that there is plenty of heavy rain in this, and so that's a given. A lot of lightning, or lightning starting to pick up a little bit. Not really seeing anything rotation-wise. Broad rotation maybe, but again, nothing to even come on the radar, if you will, to be concerned about that. So just a low end severe thunderstorm warning. And it's like I said, the good news is that it's moving fairly quickly, and I already forgot how fast it's moving, so let's go back and look. Yeah, 45 miles an hour, so that is something that is definitely moving quicker rather than slower. So let's zoom out a little bit. So again, you see the yellow shaded areas where the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. So pretty much from Allen in Collin County south, northwestern 2/3 of Rockwall County. Nothing going on there yet, but definitely in the warning. And then a good chunk of Dallas County, the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. And I already forgot when it's in effect, till 3:15. So we should get an update on this warning here pretty soon. They usually let them go for about 15-20 minutes, or certainly if they get a report, they will update the warning. Haven't had that happen, and a lot of times I'll cut back the warning too. So like I said, so if you're just joining us, severe thunderstorm warning for Dallas and southern Collin County and parts of Rockwall County until 3:15, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. It is warned for 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, 1-inch in diameter hail. Now, haven't seen any report today yet. That's radar indicated, so it doesn't mean that it's actually hitting the ground, if you will. It's definitely aloft. Hello, Mr. Hume. While I live in Wiley, I work in Princeton. Yes, I think we all can kind of relate to we live somewhere and work somewhere else. So since you asked, Mr. Hume, since you're in Princeton, let's show everybody where that is. And I think it's right around here. I think I could zoom in. There we go. Yeah, well, that didn't work. So for you in Princeton, and we should be able to get these time markers here. Yeah, 3:15 just south of you, and this particular cell would be 3:25. Yeah, so probably 3:20-ish is when you can expect something in Princeton. Again, right now you're not even in the severe thunderstorm the severe thunderstorm warning polygon. Doesn't mean you might not be later, but right now you're not in that, so that's good. So stay safe, my friend. So back to the main show, which is the severe thunderstorm, or thunderstorm that's warned over Dallas County. Again, the main threat with this is certainly heavy rain, some lightning, especially on the western side of the storm. Let's look at velocity. Yeah, the good news is nothing of concern with that, so that is good. And I think this storm is going to be something that will bear watching as it certainly moves into northeast part of the Metroplex, into Collin County, especially northeast Texas. So I would definitely, if you know anybody that lives in any part of Collin County really, but especially as you get further north and east, north of US Highway 380, definitely watch this storm, because this storm is probably going to hang around a while. Now that's the bad news. The good news is that this storm will not hang around very long. Like I said, it's moving at 45 miles an hour to the northeast. So the other thing I wanted to show, which is kind of what we'll be able to kind of hang our hat on later, is the outflow boundary. Now I'm going to draw this here, get my cursor to work. And it's really hard to see on this, but this outflow boundary from earlier thunderstorms, way earlier in the morning in southwest Oklahoma, actually has helped our severe weather threat not be as bad as it could have been. There's this cool air that's been surging to the east for most of the day. It's been undercutting these thunderstorms. And so these storms, especially when they're west of us, wanted to really kind of get going, but then they would get undercut by this outflow boundary, and that would diminish their intensity, which is a good thing, obviously. But once that outflow boundary moves through your area, then it's not that you won't see some thunderstorms, but the threat of severe weather will greatly diminish. Certainly the tornado threat will end, and the gusty wind, high wind threat will end. So that is definitely for sure. Hello, Miss Kelly. What about folks western side town? You are good. So if you're just joining us, Miss Kelly, if you're on the other side of that blue line, which is the outflow boundary, you are done for the day as far as severe weather. Now, again, you might see a little pea size hail, something like that. But if you're west of that blue line, then you are done for the day, severe weather-wise. It's good still see some rain, as you see on the radar, but nothing crazy. So that's good news for you guys. All right. So actually, ironically, it's not. It's kind of a hybrid dry line outflow boundary, and then the actual cold front is not going to move through until later tonight. And we could see a little uptick in showers and thunderstorms when the cold front moves through, but I don't think you're going to see, certainly not going to see anything severe weather-wise, that's for sure. All right. So, but what I was going to show in relation to the outflow, and we'll go back a few more frames and you'll be able to see this. We get earlier so you see that line that's going through Fort Worth earlier and kind of just pushing to the east. It's really on the Dallas-Tarrant County line right now. So again, as you see this in motion. So you see those storms that were west of Fort Worth, and then they got undercut by this outflow boundary dry line, really more of an outflow boundary. And then they just kind of fell apart, certainly from a severe standpoint. Now, this storm that's in Dallas County, which relatively speaking is still behaving itself, even though it's warned to be severe, it's out ahead of that outflow boundary. So as long as any storm's out ahead of that outflow boundary, then that's where you have to be careful. So again, if you're in the eastern part of the Metroplex, that's Collin County, a good chunk of Collin County, a good chunk of Dallas County, and points east and northeast especially, you are going to have a much rougher afternoon potentially than we are here in the immediate Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and I-35 corridor. All right, so let's stop this here. So again, outflow boundary is our key to ending all of our severe weather threat. All right, so let's kind of zoom in. And I think they did update the warning. Let's see. Yep. So located near Garland, northeast of 45. They didn't update the hazard, 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, quarter-size hail. So that has not changed. And typically when they update these warnings, they will include, if they have any reports, they will include any storm reports. And so you didn't see any storm reports, which is good. A lot of times what happens is when they update the warning, they'll include, if there was a report, they'll include, hey, hail this size, wind gust this size. So we didn't see that with this report. And I'm looking at all those spotters, and we haven't seen anything, any hail reports, at least as of yet. Now, looking at reflectivity, the storm is not looking quite as robust, but I can imagine why they didn't want to. I can see why the Weather Service didn't, want to cancel the warning early, because I think the storm can get crazy pretty quick. All right, so let's look at some different layers here. So let's go back to the velocity. And again, nothing concerning, no tight rotations anywhere, maybe broad rotation, but that's kind of pretty common for these type of storms. Let's see. So it looks like this is not anything that's going crazy. That is good. So let's look at the hydrometer classification while we're at it. Yeah, so that's even come down a little bit. So if you remember, and matter of fact, we can put this in motion. So again, earlier on, you saw a bigger concentration of red, and now that's actually kind of come down a little bit. So that's actually good. So that's another indication that the storm is typically you know, not intensifying, that's for sure. Hello, Mr. Halpern. What happened to Wiley on the map? Well, I bet we can get Wiley back. Hold on. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, well. There it is. All right, look, we're gonna make sure that Wiley is on here. There it is. There's Wiley for you, Mr. Halpern. So as you can probably imagine, when we zoom in and out, the radar takes some cities and makes them smaller, makes them bigger, takes them out altogether. So that's what's kind of funny. You're still there, I promise. All right. So like I said, it's whoops, don't want to do that. So ironically, as you can see in Wiley, not anything too bad. You're on the periphery of this storm, and hopefully for you guys and anybody really in our neck of the woods, hopefully it stays that way. So we'll put this in motion. And again, you can see this general north-northeast movement. So one thing I would point out is once this stops again. Okay, so I'll highlight it here. Well, I thought I stopped it. There we go. All right, so you can see this corridor of really heavy rain, and it wants to move this way. Now, I think in a general sense, it'll start moving more east, but so the core of this storm is still along the US 75 corridor. So just something to keep, and that's where we would want to watch out for anything that gets tricky. But we'll zoom this out a little bit. Yeah, it actually extends up into southwest Collin County too. All right, so again, you kind of get the general motion of things. So the good news is that this storm has become more linear, but again, bears watching. Let's see, just checking the spotter updates. Okay, so looks like we might be getting a little bit of rotation on the southwest part of this. Let's see. Yeah, certainly nothing crazy. Let's go back to reflectivity. Yeah, I don't see, yeah, we'll watch it though. And again, that's what I was saying before. Is that until this outflow boundary pushes past your location, then we still kind of, you're not out of the woods. And of course, pretty much anything east of 35 is 35E is still in the not out of the woods. Thank you, Mr. Duke. Appreciate it. Yeah, Wise County, you were good. Wise County, will zoom out for Mr. Duke. Yeah, Wise County is there we go. Excuse me, it's right there. A-OK. So yeah, so you were in the clear. Thankfully for your sake. All right, so what does this mean for the rest of us who are not in the clear yet? And again, I would say we are not in the clear if you're anywhere along this line right here, to the east, I should say. Now, again, it doesn't mean you couldn't see some weather on the west side of it, but nothing severe. The severe weather threat will end. On the east side of it, as we're indicating from the severe thunderstorm warning, it is something that just nothing crazy going on right now, so that's good. But it's just something we got to watch. Probably it's about it's 2:55 now, and okay, so that's actually really good news. So as I was telling you, they just canceled that part of the tornado watch literally on the screen, and of course that's a good indicator of confidence that the Weather Service thinks that the threat is over for that. And so now, like I said, on the we're still on this east side of this blue line, which is a hybrid outflow dry line type situation. Not really a dry line, but more of an outflow boundary. It was a dry line way back when. But so anything east of this boundary still got to watch things. And we are going to see these storms. Get rid of that. So we are going to, we'll put this in motion. So we're going to see these storms go southwest to northeast. And they're going to eventually be pushed by this outflow boundary, but it's going to take a little while. So I would say within the next hour or so, we'll probably be dealing with this for Dallas County and most of Collin County. Like I said, thankfully, nothing is going on. I'm just looking at the spotter reports. Don't really see anything, thankfully. All right, so checking that. All right, so let's see. They have not updated the warning, which is not unusual. All right, so let's check velocity again. Yeah, nothing crazy, so that's good. All right, let's go back to hydrometer. Well, that's yeah, and the hail threat has definitely come down, and that's what I was talking about this morning. The hail threat was really never our big issue today. Our big issue today would have been heavy rain. Well, from a non-severe standpoint, but from a severe standpoint, the potential for tornadoes and gusty winds. That is, unfortunately, if you're northeast of us, especially in the Oklahoma, Arkansas, western Arkansas, southwest Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, they're going to have it way worse than we did today. And so it's something that we definitely want to keep